Right. Nirman, how do you see this? Do you see this and is it going to be a successful attempt to redefine victory itself in this AI race? Because that's what is being conveyed here, that it's better to build an AI which takes the maximum number of people along, is meant to serve the maximum number of people, respond to their daily challenges or challenges around employability, better making more money, improving their lives, than just outdoing each other.
So let's look at AI as a tool to better our lives. It's not anything beyond that. It cannot replace us. It's only going to make our lives better. So the world doesn't end if AI becomes better. So if we look at using AI for the global good, it will be a tool. But if we start looking at it as a strategic asset, then our direction is towards making AI that is only good for a small set of people. Then you're trying to just look for your own good, and that is not the right way. If it is done in the way that India is trying to do that, okay, can we create it for the global good? Then you're looking at value addition to every individual on the planet. And if that value addition actually happens, everybody adopts it. And if everybody adopts it and trusts it, then it remains with us for longer. If people start to distrust AI, then it doesn't land well. There's no point anybody investing if people don't trust AI. If you and I don't trust AI, we'll not use it. If we don't use it, what's the point in investing so much?
Okay, so Bimal, there was also a proposal there by Antonio Guterres, UN chief, to have a global fund of AI, and he proposed a sum of $3 billion US. Are we closing, are we going near to the point when every country is on board for this international sort of agreement, consensus on AI rules and a global fund of AI?
Yeah, I think the effort has to really start from that perspective, the coming together of nations, or I would more say the stakeholders, where other entities also join in. See, the efforts around, the tech by the UN for some time has gone through the group of governmental experts route, and finally in 2023, certain 13 principles or rather norms, non-binding norms were announced, and based on which the open-ended working group of the UN worked, and finally they have a document that is a guidance. Now for AI, a similar exercise from the UN has to be harmonized. I think the possibility of getting this started, and again India taking a lead in this, would be very, very important. I mentioned a little while back that the US and others always don't want really encompassing role of the UN system in this whole tech area. They think that the private sector should be leading on all fronts. Hence, the nations and everyone don't get along. So that politics has to be handled and nurtured also. But the concept of the fund available really helps, because again it espouses that same cause on which we are trying to look at how do we get the global south more integrated into the system, how do we help them come to par, and then also get the global north to look at this far much more with an open lens. In the current geopolitics shift and churn that you see, that's a space that has also been created where many countries in the global north also look at that middle path in which we look at it. And the French president made a very significant statement, if you have seen, that big
tech.
Yeah, big tech got bigger because of AI. Now this again is significant, because when Nirman and his company comes on the global scale, and there would be plenty of startups on AI from here, they are the ones, they must have their space. They come and fill many critical gaps. The big techs cannot come and devour him or 10 of the other things, and also that's also something enabling that has to be done. Otherwise, the big tech will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally, and nowadays in many places they are on top, even on politics and geopolitics. They determine so many outcomes. So I think that is where the leadership from India is very crucial, and we are going absolutely on a right path. Not only what we are doing domestically here, but in the global strategic scenario around AI, that whole Manav is a very clear canvas, which we see that it's inclusive. We allow Nirman to grow, survive, and gain his own strength, rather than a Google coming and trying to say, I'll pay you this much and you come on my fold.
Yeah.
So that is where the value of the UN also remains, that is where the fund also remains, and that is where India's leadership really comes out.
Right, and especially when you talk about carrying some, everyone along, Professor Mishra, President Macron makes the point about Africa as well. It will have the youngest population for at least 2.5 decades to come. And India, France and these other nations perhaps are the best bet for Africa as well, because the kind of worldview that they have and the kind of view that they have taken on AI as well, and Africa can then be a significant contributor too in the coming days.
Yes, absolutely. We know that India is a major stakeholder in the African continent as a developmental partner, as a country that has provided a lot of grants and line of credit. But France equally, partly due to their colonial presence there, during the colonial time, France also has substantive stakes in the region. And the next meeting that is to be held in Kenya, I believe, will pave the path for greater collaboration. I think here what President Macron said, three very interesting points I thought. One was the look at the diplomatic level. India and the international community, you have to look at your what President Macron termed as intelligent congruence. You have to look at your the deliverables not only on ethical and moral side, but also in terms of transactional tangible gains. So I think intelligence congruence is important. In the African continent, India could play a really significant, rather a unique role, because of the real value creation, not using a lot of investment, a lot of like really big investments and big tech, but technology, AI technology and platforms that are not that expensive, but can make real changes, substantive changes in common people's life, and that is what perhaps Africa is looking at. So I think that's a very important point. Coming to India-France collaboration, I think again his message was very clear. If you and he said that in the past you compete or you lose, but in today's times, especially in the AI context, you connect or you fall behind. So the message for India is clear, but the message for the a kind of coalition of willing from both global north and south is clear, that you have got to connect and you have to collaborate, co-create, and reach out to partners that are not capable of developing these capacities on their own. And Africa is really where India and France and Global South and United Nations are all interested, because there are challenges which are grave to the humanity, whether it is healthcare system or providing potable water, whether it is infrastructure, electricity, or alleviating people from poverty. So I think Africa presents a very good opportunity on humanitarian ground, and to make AI global common in real sense of the term.
Yeah, I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi also made a very commercially pertinent point there, that if a technology is deployed in India, it could very well be deployed elsewhere in the world, and that's how we can all be commercially relevant as well. Nirman, I would like to ask you next that, yes, small startups, what role do they play in AI transformation in our country, and what more do they want from the government of India in terms of policy initiatives, credit support, and so on?
I'll answer the second question first. So I think Indian government is already doing some really big good things, which is building sovereign models and investing in them, like figuring out the right capital structure for them. So if that happens at scale, you're looking at the cost of AI going down, let's say 1/100th of what it is today. And if that happens, companies like us or individuals like yourself will be able to build with AI at peanuts. So that will allow hundreds and thousands and millions of people to innovate, think what is possible. So suddenly we are reimagining how everybody is going to work with AI. And that can only happen when somebody can really bring the cost down of AI. and that can happen only in India. It cannot be done by anybody else.
Because of our large population.
Large population, we have data. We have data that nobody else has at the scale that we have.
But the other challenge is the energy cost as well, because you can only bring down the cost to a certain extent right now. The solutions to powering AI, as they come, it will become more efficient, it will become even more cheap.
It will.
As it's happened with photovoltaic cells.
Yes, and AI is also going to be used to create more efficient energy resources.
Okay.
So it is also like.
Could you elaborate on that?
So see, there's
Sodium-ion batteries, for instance.
Yes, why not? Like you see, we are only thinking of AI being used in software. AI can be used even to create new materials, new logics to the way batteries run. It's left to our imagination, right? What we want to use it for, like the Prime Minister said. So if we use it in the right direction to create more sustainable way of like producing energy, we only feed into creating more cheaper AI for the global good.
And the challenge is also in storing energy, so that's where AI has.
Of course, we are already trying to solve it. There are multiple companies that Indian government is backing as well, which are working on like battery storage technology. So it's like the work is happening in all possible directions, and we just need to make sure that most of these ideas work.
And in terms of having more and more data centers around the country?
I think there's massive investment that has already happened just in the last 1 week. I mean,
and I think more GPUs are also being launched for AI.
Yes,
to be evolved.
I'm sure all of us are only going to keep hearing that this investment has only increased, because as it shows output, the investment is only going to keep adding. So it's entirely up to the first set of companies to show that, okay, this works. And if that works, you will have hundreds of other companies lining up to say, okay, I'll build in India.
And do you feel that as Shubham was also mentioning that indigenous, if you have sovereign AI, the companies that are part of that endeavor should also be protected. There should be some kind of a firewall around them as well, so that they're not acquired by bigger companies, multinational companies.
I agree completely. Like, because India is figuring out a new capital structure for them, so why should anybody else get the benefit of what the hard work government of India has done? So it should remain our heritage. It should remain with us, and it should be protected. I completely agree with you on that.
AI Commons, perhaps coming in a way like we say about Creative Commons. Okay, there is a bigger question now I'm going to put across. In our so many interviews we had prior to the summit, the general sentiment coming to develop AI was that AI scientists should work with social scientists in the times to come. Is that a possibility here? Do you see it coming, Subimal?
Yeah, definitely. I think already a lot of collaboration is happening. Where basically, what are you trying to achieve? You are trying to go into many of the areas where expertise around the theories and policies actually need to be considered by the scientists when they are developing their models or even any kind of a solution. So I think that effort has happened. The other part is that a lot of people who have been working in the academics in US or even in Europe, many are coming back now to start AI models and all. Yesterday I moderated a panel where I had 2 of them coming, and these are big ones. So I think that we have to find much more inclusive way in which we are able to foster those connections across the country and all. It's just not looking at only the IITs or the NITs. I think a lot of private universities also produce some brilliant minds. Take the story of Digantara, the space startup. It's from lovely professional university. It's now making waves across the world. So that possibility of connecting them is really there, and the efforts that we have done when we do the smart hackathon and all, that's where we kind of cross-pollinate. Some entity from south is doing with some education institution in northeast and all. I think taking all of that, taking the Atal Tinkering Lab ideas, taking the universities, social sciences to look at more from and understand the nuances of technology, I think all of that has to run as a mission mode. The government is alive to all those changes. The whole effort around the 5 layers on which the whole AI ecosystem in the country is working has elements where skilling and
Reskilling, yes.
yeah, reskilling is very, very important. So in that we have to get the universities get involved more. NAILIT of the MEITI, which provides a lot of trainings around AI tools also. I have seen them grow like, now of course it's a deemed university, but they have gone to far-flung places and they find a lot of interest happening, and the many of these projects are actually with university or some social science department across the country. So if you look at all of them, I think we have a much you can say something to feel proud that we have already started the journey. We have to see that how do we get more people into that fold.
Okay, Professor Mishra, would you like to add to that? How can AI be integrated in education? So AI in education and education for AI, so that we have what do you say, responsible and resilient AI coming to the fore rather than just AI?
Yes, absolutely. I think I'll speak on behalf of my community, the social scientists. You cannot do it without the social scientists, because it's like it's an economist, it's a sociologist, it's a person working on public policy or social work. They are the ones who have the ability, who can help the government in many ways to make sure that AI technology and dissemination of information, the diffusion of technology reaches to the poorest of poor people. It becomes a part of national public discourse. It is used in ways that are suitable to the people and their interests, and it becomes a part of national campaign. So I think there, not only in terms of theorizing it, but also making it a part of public intellectual discourse and public common people's discourse. So we need public intellectuals who do that. In terms of a social scientist and education sector, in international relations, we know that at one point artificial intelligence, the technology, the know-how, and the whole game will be securitized. That means it will become part of national policies, governments and their approaches, both on the civilian, that is economic and social practices, but also defense and military sectors. So I think the untapped potential of social sciences and social scientists and their potential contribution in making it AI an integral part of education system is something that is yet to be seen, and I'm hopeful that steps will be taken to make AI a key component, a core component of India's education policy and India's public policy discourse.
Certainly. Well, let me just tell our viewers that while the PM was speaking, Tanvi, they could see the hearing impaired, the bot for the hearing impaired there. Also at the same time, along with Sarvam and DD News' own IT team, Prime Minister's speech real time was also broadcast in 11 regional languages as well with the help of artificial intelligence. But let me talk about an aspect, Sumal, of well, something related to AI which has not been talked about so far, which is investments. Now the PM's speech, or that of any other leader for that matter who spoke there, wasn't really directly anywhere in investment pitch. But clearly, if you look at the kind of future for AI which has been projected particularly by India and those who are aligned with India, it calls for a lot of investment as well. But investment for what purpose is something that has been clearly enunciated now.
Well, Mr. Pichai mentioned about that $15 billion investments in Andhra Pradesh, but leave aside that one big announcement, there are plenty of investments happening even from Indian companies now in those 5 layers. You take from the application layer right down to the energy layer. In every aspect there are investments that are happening by Indian companies also.
Tata announced with AMD, I think.
Yeah, that again was a big announcement. Reliance has investment significantly on the GPU ecosystem. So I think as people get the confidence, and I think that this whole summit has been able to put that in place. That impact will definitely see more investments coming, maybe a redo and reorientation of many of our corporates who are in other sector who get into this. You know, the whole data ecosystems story has just begun. You know, you set the rules for you know, the data protection last November and got that act of which was passed in August 2023 functional. The number of data fiduciaries now getting into that itself is a big area. Now, once he has to perform, he has to, you know, relate to many of the other companies that would be in different layers of these things. So the semiconductor ecosystem you pick up, the data centers, the energy, the models that are being planned, you know, very specific models, you know, not always the large language models that you are trying to think that will go and compete with what has already been achieved. I think at every layer we will see much of investment. Monetarily, they might not be as guzzling or as impactful that you see that what has already been said. At least the, you know, we have a comparison. The Chinese did it at cost much lesser than what the Americans have done, but maybe there is a middle path in which we create that space, and that is where I think Nirman also operates, because the best asset, Gautam, that we have in this country is we have very much AI oriented workforce and talents available who are now becoming entrepreneurs. Earlier you saw very less startups coming in this particular area. Everyone tried to think that
facing.
Yeah, or go out of the country and all. Now here you are getting people who are very confident that, you know, they'll get the support, and that's where you will see a lot of investment. The venture capital funds are very busy here in India. Anyone whom I meet, they say that, you know, I am going after this startup. I saw Mr. Motwani also speaking the other day about I have already found my new charm. So these are the opportunities that we'll see investments across the whole value chain, and that is also you know, something that is observed very minutely by many of the global south countries. You know, our effort, our story is very minutely observed, so that they can also get into this bandwagon and see that they also get the right investments. So Professor was mentioning about Africa. I think that's a continent that is really virgin territory right now as far as AI is concerned, and that's where we can go. Even Indian companies can go and invest and get their act together.
I spoke about investment pitch and not investment commitments which have been coming in through the course of the recent months as well. But Nirman, there is also this concern about a bubble in AI as well, especially where investments are concerned, and we've seen stocks going up and down also recently. So AI is something that needs a lot of money, but perhaps strategically deploying it becomes even more important, which is why it's important to put across your vision, which has been done in this case.
I think different kinds of capital is required for different kinds of companies. And the application layer requires non-patient capital. You can give out return faster. But if you go down, further down, you require patient capital. And India is wise enough to understand this and is creating those structures. So whether the investments work out or not, that we will see. But I think all of this is working out and the results are being shown. So I don't think it is as risky or there is a bubble forming. We haven't even started, honestly. In India, we haven't even started yet in terms of delivering on AI. We figured out our paths, we are laying down the bricks. Now we have to build our tracks. Then we will build our trains. So still there is a long way to go, and a lot of human capital is required. A lot of brains are required to solve different kinds of problems. Like Prime Minister mentioned about quantum computing. We are investing in quantum computing. It's not a 5-year game. You're probably playing a 100-year game there. So you cannot call out there is a bubble in quantum computing because it requires patient capital. And there are multiple such avenues that India should be investing in. So there are going to be, let's say, companies that get formed that replace the global giants in let's say, a SaaS domain. But that doesn't mean there is a bubble. It only means that new form of value creation is happening. And as long as there is value creation, it's not a bubble. How those companies get valued, that's a side project.
Okay, Tata Group Chairperson N. Chandrasekhar said that they are in the process of adopting AI across the stack, so even manufacturing chips that are AI optimized, and that will actually, produce chips for multiple industries. First one, they say, will cater to the automotive sector. Yes, as we speak about these international collaborations, Professor Chandrasekhar, there is also this New Delhi frontier of AI commitments that has been, launched and agreed upon by these tech leaders, where one of the commitment is to strengthen multilingual and use case evaluations. So basically presenting these case analysis and sharing with all. Your take on that?
Well, this is a commitment that is amongst the CEOs of companies.
Yes.
So I think the government, the role of the government or governments across the regions, their role would be of facilitators. They can act as enablers in making sure these technologies, the multilingual platforms are utilized by countries of the global south. So I think that is a very good opportunity. Of course, CEOs and their companies have to act first, and then perhaps governments can chip in and make these technologies, make these facilities available, not only to people of India, but also those who are interested in it from other regions also. And I think during these speeches made at the summit, there was a mention of Africa. So I think that presents very good opportunities for these CEOs who signed or those who were there in the releasing or rather showcasing the New Delhi frontier commitments. So I'm very hopeful that it will have positive impact on the way AI uses has been perceived and has been seen across regions and countries.
Okay, so how do you see government's role here? On one hand, developing sovereign AI, and on the other, democratizing AI. So Prime Minister said that your data is your right, but at the same time, we have to take AI to everyone, to across nations, the vulnerable populations as well. What should be government's role here in balancing this tough act?
That's a very perceptive question. This is where I think I did mention securitization. There will come a point in the journey of artificial intelligence where it will reach to a level that it will have the potential to affect common people's life, boundaries, state boundaries, their national sovereignty questions, economies. And there was a mention of economic disruptions. I think President Macron mentioned it. When these questions of prominence, of national importance come in, countries will take steps and they will securitize it, connect AI with matters of national security, and therefore they will have regulatory powers to control it. When we say that these companies are sovereign, that means that they are not really at the mercy or under control by big giant multinational corporations. So I think sovereign only to the extent that countries which are based or which have allegiance to a particular companies that have allegiance to a particular country will remain confined there, and it will not be exploited by enemy countries or people, companies that have intentions or interests against India in this case. So I think data protection, data residing in India has a territorial notion to it. It also has a flag attached to it. So Indian companies will of course be honest and be loyal to the country, which does not mean that Indian government will exploit it. I think we have to distinguish between the two. How your data is stored in a particular city, in a particular space, in a particular country, and how that government of that country exploits it are two different things. We see and we know that data stored in China is directly accessible, fully accessible to the Chinese government, and they have so far the capability, but who knows, maybe the intention to exploit it against other countries and against their own people. Does India have that interest? So far, I don't think India has the intention to exploit this data against any other country or against its own people. And Prime Minister did mention transparency and moral and ethical standards. I think that is the guiding principle here. So I think that has to be also kept in consideration.
Yes, I think anonymization is part of the frontier commitments as well, and that can be inferred as something that will be perhaps metadata directed, Nirvan, or what does it exactly mean if you anonymize things?
So you strip the data of personal identifiable information. So whose data is that is not going to be known, and that is why it's going to be stable, it's going to be secure.
So there should clearly be no facial identification and all that.
How but you cannot avoid using and storing the data, but who has access to it can be used. And I foresee Indian government playing a very big role in organizing data. So it's data at such a scale that you cannot just leave it to the private companies to organize it. Government should also take leadership in organizing, annotating that data such that model companies just focus on building the models and not do the spade work of trying to organize and annotate that data. And then the cost of building the model comes down substantially.
Okay. Another aspect that I think President Macron mentioned quite a bit, Shubhamal, was sustainable AI. That is also something that these countries are committed to. And that is also a major commitment because of the kind of energy requirements that AI has. So do you feel that that is somewhere where these countries coming together can make a lot of progress?
Oh, definitely. I think this energy layer becomes very, very important. The extent to which the server capacity is increasing and the extent of the performance that is required out of these servers, particularly the GPUs, is significant. And that is where looking at cleaner technology, clean energy technology, looking at liquid cooling as a concept that has been very successfully run in France and even in Europe, the areas in which how do integrate more nuclear energy, renewable energy into this system. So this whole energy ecosystem becomes very, very important. You cannot create the whole AI ecosystem at that scale and keep on scaling it unless and until you find solutions about how do you utilize the energy that you have available at your disposal. I liked Nirman's point about using AI to find more better ways of energy and efficient energy management. So I think France has a lot of lessons to give to us. We have already put also that in the joint statement in the outcomes that were there about looking at this particular aspect. And more so, we have made a policy decision in the budget, as we announced, about giving the tax holiday to the people who set up data centers here in the country and all. So it will be imperative on our part, and which the government has already thought through about how we are going to enable that we get the data centers invested here, which has the cleanest of the technology. They are some of the best of the green entities that you have, and you find the most efficient usage of energy. So I think there's a great compelling story from a bilateral point of view, and also an European perspective. The way they have built up the whole European model around Horizon and all, this is all around the green technology. So we have a story to tell, and possibly we also give a better understanding to the Americans also, who still now have been not been very efficient in terms of how they manage their data.
Nirvan, do you concur, and do we have some promising work happening right now on making AI more energy efficient as well in India or in any of these countries which we seem to be having a common cause with, is where developing AI is concerned?
I think nuclear energy is going to be most important in all of this because it scales up well. And
modular reactors included.
Yes, and there's a lot of work that has also happened on the core technology of nuclear fission. So I believe if India can invest and scale that particular channel for deploying energy, it works out really well. Renewable energy in terms of solar, we've already invested heavily, even before AI. I think that is only going to scale up. The solar cells are also going to get more efficient. And in all directions, and there are multiple companies that are working in India, and let's say he mentioned about France, liquid cooling, that's like the most important part in running an efficient data center. So there is innovation happening in every part of that, the curve of innovation in energy. And probably next year you will keep hearing that this breakthrough has been achieved.
Okay, so even as we speak, the leaders at the Bharat Mandapam are visiting the India AI Impact Expo, and their results on day 4 of the India AI Impact Buildathon are out. So the team siblings has won a first prize of 1 lakh rupees at the India AI Impact Buildathon. That's the latest we are getting from Bharat Mandapam. In a short while, we'll have the leaders of different states visiting the India Impact AI Expo. Yes, it's really a platform to build global AI solutions, as we're all discussing here, a platform for the indigenous AI models to replicate and be at par with the foreign ones. Yes, we have had 3 sovereign AI models launched at this India AI Impact Summit, Bharat Gen, then we had Gyani and Sarvam AI. And as we speak of AI's benefits, of course, the segment that will be really leveraging or leapfrogging this AI wave will be India's youth. And of course, let me get in a word by Professor Mishra. How do you see the role of Indian youth in in this advent of AI, the pluses and minuses here?
I think it's the biggest stakeholder, the strongest stakeholder and the biggest potential beneficiary of AI revolution is going to be the youth, the younger generation, Gen Z as we call them. They are the ones who have to really play their role, and they have to play it well in learning new things, in making good use of technology, in expanding their cognitive horizons, their professional skills. They are the ones who will be benefiting from skilling. The older generation is the one which will perhaps benefit from reskilling and lifelong learning. But it is really the youth who are at the cusp of this change, taking artificial intelligence and technologies alongside them and make India the Viksit Bharat. So a lot of responsibility on them, and I would say the elder generation looks forward to their substantive contribution in making India a great superpower.
But do you also see, Nirman, a bit of a dissonance there in terms of how the youth see AI and their future with AI? Some are pretty clear as to what they want to do, in their working lives, and some have been left a bit directionless.
I think you're absolutely spot on that many of us have been left directionless because things are changing so fast. And the expectation of companies, of individuals in terms of AI skill is also changing every day. So you need to kind of focus on building their skills of using AI for becoming more skilled in their individual career paths.
I think the PM talked about lifelong learning.
And it's not going to stop. Like AI is only going to kind of become better every day. So the possibilities with AI that can be done is only going to change every day. What was not possible probably 1 month ago is going to get possible 6 months down the line. So if that is going to happen, all of us, including the Prime Minister, will have to keep learning. So it goes without saying.
Okay, and the move there to ban AI facilitated abuse, basically regulate it, and of course France and India are on board to protect the vulnerable population as regards to AI facilitated abuse, threats for children. And in fact, one of the leaders also said that, I think it was Antonio Guterres, UN chief, who said that children should not be the test subject for unregulated AI. Subimal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when President Macron mentioned about now they also coming with this age bar around such content, I think that's a very significant statement, because Australia has already started implementing it and many countries are looking at it. And when he spoke, he also mentioned that with India also the conversation has been there. So I think it's a very good step. And by the way, I must also tell that we have already taken a regulatory step in that direction already. On the 10th of February, the intermediary guidelines rules that were announced, that was on synthetically generated information, that means AI generated content, and that's where how do you deal with such content that has been very clearly defined. And on top of that, the time frame in which the content takedown notices were allowed. Earlier it was 36 hours, and they have been reduced to 3 hours and 2 hours,
Yes.
depending on the category. So I think a lot of the concerns around children and being abused, or
Even women for that matter.
yeah, for
Yes.
that matter, yeah, they are both vulnerable sections of the society. So that steps we have taken from a regulatory perspective in the country. I think it will be now easier to look at even age bar. The question is, more of a societal that I worry about, that parents and all themselves indulge and give their devices and all to their children, and that is where the excess regulatory you might take, but on the ground, how much of change really can happen. That's where I think the societal impact also comes in, where you have to look at that schools, colleges, parents and all have to understand that how do you inculcate that responsible AI ecosystem in the children also, with whatever content that is available.
Nirvam, what is your perspective on this? Because Australia has become the first nation, for now the only nation, where nationwide this sort of a ban has been imposed that children below 16 need to be off social media altogether. And there are already reports that there are kids who are finding their ways around it. Should one, in terms of other countries, should they look at Australia's experience and then decide what they want to do, or should they just go ahead and do it and make it as universal as possible?
I think we should start doing it in some way already. And I think he said it the best way. Like, it cannot be just be left to the government to get it right. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm a parent as well, and I should not be leaving my child with a phone unattended, because he may just download a mobile app, which is a game, and what happens inside the game cannot be controlled. So, and there's no jurisdiction of an Indian government on that game as well then. So if my child is going to get access to that game, it's not government's fault, it's my fault.
Okay. Professor Rahul, I want your take here also on this very crucial point in the AI
Heating
debate.
point as well.
Heating point as well. As parents, should AI access be limited for their children, even as
Let me
teachers?
just add, I am the
Yeah.
parent of a 14-year-old. I haven't given him a phone yet. He has tablets, he has a laptop, but no phone yet.
Okay, so should AI be limited, AI access, should it be limited or totally banned for children under the age of 16?
I agree with this idea that social media should be banned for children under 16, because what we are worried about is not that children have access to things that they shouldn't be having access to, games and very violent games and so on and so forth. The first step in this direction is to protect children from getting harmed. And this is something that has been seen in Australia and the Western world, where children were bullied, they were harassed, including sexual harassment, and there have been a number of incidents in India as well. So I think stopping that is the first priority. Now, how the children and even within the family, how your son or daughter uses the phone, that is your phone, is totally up to your wisdom. I mean, there are apps that can be locked, and I think on all the phones you have the facility, you can lock your app and it will not be accessible to anybody but you. So I think that is something that can be done, but this involves a lot of family discipline rather than an individual getting access or not getting access to this, because we must understand that in our age and time, it is not possible to keep the children away from internet and IT technology. You cannot keep them away from cell phones and iPads and what have you. So I think commendable that you've stopped your son from using the cell phone, but at one point you do have to open it. So I think
it's going to happen this year.
Indeed. Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I think regulation is a very good way. I think the middle path is the way.
It's so heartening to see that both debates are happening parallelly to devise responsible AI and also to use it responsibly. I would like to thank all of you guys for being with us on this India AI Impact Summit's very impactful day. We've seen leaders make very responsible statements on democratizing AI, also yet having sovereign AI models, not fearing AI but embracing it, and really like charting responsible AI for future which is for all.
Yes, and the family photo of the leaders, and not just that, the image that Prime Minister Modi had on the stage with all those leaders of the AI ecosystem in India and the big tech players as well. Those will be global headlines as well, because that really says that the approach that the world wants to take to AI is one that treads the middle path, and it will resonate in all corners and all capitals of the world. That's what's coming out of the India AI Impact Summit for the moment. A lot more still to unfold. Remember, we have today as well as tomorrow to go where the summit is concerned, and we will be bringing you a lot of that.
Yes,
as well.
shaping AI for humanity, shaping AI for global good, welfare for all, happiness for all. I'd like to thank all our esteemed guests, Professor Rahul Mishra from School of International Studies, JNU, Subimal Bhattacharjee, a renowned IT expert, and Nirmal Agarwal, founder of Beanbag and Cruisecale. Thank you very much for being with us on the show. News and updates on India AI Impact Summit continues on DD India. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
Namaskar.